Stop Falling for Appearances. 10 Truths You Must Know by David Russo. Chapter 1. The Illusion of First Impressions. We live in a world that worships the instant. Swipe left, double tap, scroll past. In less than a second, we decide who's trustworthy, who's attractive, who's worth our time. But here's the truth. First impressions are often wrong. Not just slightly off, dangerously misleading. From childhood, we're wired to make snap judgments. It's a survival instinct. Our ancestors had to decide quickly whether someone was friend or foe. But in today's world, this instinct backfires. We judge people based on their clothes, their posture, their tone of voice, and we miss the deeper story. Think about it. How many times have you met someone who seemed charming at first, only to reveal a manipulative streak later? Or dismissed someone quiet and awkward, only to discover they were wise, kind, and deeply loyal? The social setting trap. In social settings, appearances dominate. The loudest voice in the room often gets the most attention. The most confident handshake wins the deal. But confidence isn't character. Volume isn't virtue. We confuse performance with authenticity and pay the price. Consider the job interview. Studies show that interviewers form an impression within the first 30 seconds. That impression colors everything that follows. A candidate who stumbles on their greeting might be seen as unprepared, even if their resume is stellar. Meanwhile, someone who smiles and speaks smoothly might be hired, even if they lack substance. Media and online illusions. Online, the illusion multiplies. Profiles are curated. Photos are filtered. Bios are crafted to impress. We scroll through highlight reels and assume we're seeing reality. But we're not. We're seeing masks. A viral tweet doesn't mean someone is wise. A polished video doesn't mean someone is kind. We mistake visibility for credibility. And in doing so, we fall for appearances again and again. The cost of misjudgment. Misjudging someone based on first impressions can cost us relationships, opportunities, even safety. We trust the wrong people. We overlook the right ones. We project our biases onto others and call it intuition. But intuition is an impulse. True discernment takes time. It requires observation, reflection, and humility. Exercises in discernment. Let's recalibrate. Here are 3 exercises to help you pause before forming opinions. 1. The 3-meeting rule. Before deciding what you think of someone, interact with them 3 separate times. Notice how they behave in different contexts. Are they consistent? Do they treat others with respect when no one's watching? 2. The mirror test. When you feel a strong reaction to someone, positive or negative, ask yourself, what part of me is reacting? Often, we project our insecurities or desires onto others. Recognizing this helps us separate truth from emotion. 3. The silence scan. In a conversation, pay attention to what's not said. What topics are avoided? What emotions are masked? Sometimes, the truth hides in the silence. Chapter 2. The Social Media Mirage. You're not comparing yourself to real lives. You're comparing yourself to digital highlight reels. What shows up on your screen is staged, edited, filtered, and meticulously arranged to earn approval. Social media doesn't mirror reality. It performs it. And most of us are playing a part. We glide past snapshots of beach vacations, flawless faces, romantic milestones, and professional victories. But behind all that, worry, financial strain, loneliness, insecurity. The distance between what's broadcast and what's true has never been wider or more damaging. The architecture of illusion. Social platforms are built to celebrate appearances. Algorithms don't care about kindness or integrity, only engagement. So we pose, we retouch, we perfect. We turn into the marketers of our own identities, selling a polished narrative that may barely resemble our day-to-day lives. This isn't simply vanity, it's survival within the system. When attention becomes a form of currency, the pressure to look successful, joyful, or attractive intensifies. But the trade-off is costly. Bit by bit, we drift away from who we really are. The comparison trap. Psychologists call it upward comparison, the habit of measuring ourselves against people who seem happier, richer, prettier, or more fulfilled. The outcome? Lowered mood, diminished self-worth, and a hit to overall well-being. Studies repeatedly link heavy social media use to anxiety, depression, and body dissatisfaction. It's no mystery why. We're comparing ourselves to carefully crafted illusions. You're not seeing someone's life, you're seeing their curated brand. Yet we internalize it anyway. We feel slow, insufficient, or invisible. We chase likes and followers, hoping digital validation will soothe the ache. It never does. The filtered self, even when we know it's manufactured, it still leaves a mark. That's the pull of visual perfection. A retouched photo can sour our relationship with our own features. A viral post can make us doubt our value. A strategic feed can warp our sense of self. And here's the kicker. We help sustain the cycle. We choose flattering angles. We hide the mess. We present versions of ourselves designed to impress. Over time, the performance blends with our identity. We lose sight of the unfiltered human underneath. Strategies for mindful engagement. Reclaim your attention. Here are 3 ways to engage online without drowning in the illusion. 1. Curate for honesty. Follow creators who embrace transparency and real life. Unfollow accounts that spark insecurity or push unrealistic ideals. 2. Set limits. Reduce screen time. Establish device-free hours or zones. Rely on tools that help track and manage your usage. 3. Share with purpose. Before posting, pause and ask, am I trying to connect or to impress? Choose authenticity over performance. Share what matters, not just what flatters. Chapter 3. Beauty isn't character. We've been sold a lie that beauty equals goodness, that a symmetrical face means a trustworthy soul, that charisma and cheekbones somehow signal depth, wisdom, or integrity. But here's the truth. Beauty is just packaging, and packaging can deceive. From fairy tales to fashion magazines, we're conditioned to associate physical attractiveness with virtue. The hero is handsome. The villain is scarred. The love interest glows. The outcast hides. These visual shortcuts seep into our subconscious, shaping how we judge others and ourselves. The halo effect. Psychologists call it the halo effect. Attractive people are often perceived as smarter, kinder, more competent, even when there's no evidence to support it. Studies show that juries are more lenient with good-looking defendants. Teachers rate attractive students as more capable. Employers are more likely to hire candidates who look the part. But beauty doesn't guarantee character. A charming smile can mask manipulation. A polished appearance can hide cruelty. And a plain exterior can house extraordinary wisdom, courage, and kindness. The cost of the bias. When we equate beauty with virtue, we make dangerous assumptions. We trust the wrong people. We overlook the right ones. We give power to those who perform well visually and ignore those who speak truth without sparkle. This bias affects relationships, careers, politics, and justice. It shapes who gets heard, who gets hired, who gets loved. And it leaves many of us chasing an impossible standard, trying to look good enough to be taken seriously. But character isn't visible. Integrity doesn't wear makeup. Wisdom doesn't pose for selfies. Seeing beyond the surface. To break the beauty bias, we must retrain our perception. Here's how. 1. Observe behavior over appearance. Pay attention to how someone treats others, especially those with less power. Do they listen? Do they show empathy? Do they follow through on promises? 2. Challenge your first reaction. When you feel drawn to someone because of their looks, pause. Ask yourself, what am I assuming about them? Is it based on evidence or just appearance? 3. Diversify your inputs. Follow thinkers, creators, and leaders who don't fit the conventional mold. Listen to voices that aren't polished. Seek wisdom in places that aren't glamorous. Reclaiming your own worth. This chapter isn't just about how we judge others. It's about how we judge ourselves. Many of us have internalized the idea that we must look a certain way to be worthy, that our value depends on our appearance. But your worth isn't skin deep. It's soul deep. It's built from your values, your actions, your resilience. The most beautiful thing about you is how you show up, especially when no one's watching. So stop falling for appearances. Start looking for character. And start honoring your own. Chapter 4. Status symbols don't equal substance. A Rolex doesn't reveal integrity. A corner office doesn't guarantee wisdom. A luxury car doesn't mean the driver knows where they're going. We live in a world obsessed with symbols, titles, brands, bank balances, but symbols aren't substance. They're costumes. And sometimes they're camouflage. We've been trained to equate success with surface. If someone looks wealthy, they must be smart. If they have a big job title, they must be competent. If they speak with confidence, they must be right. But here's the truth. Status symbols are often just props in a performance. The mirage of success. Think of the influencer with the rented Lamborghini, the executive with a toxic team, the celebrity with 1 million followers and zero peace. These are not failures, they're illusions, carefully curated to impress, distract, and conceal. We assume that material wealth signals emotional wealth, that a designer suit means the person inside is emotionally tailored. But many people who appear successful are hollow inside, disconnected, insecure, or ethically bankrupt. And many who appear ordinary, the quiet teacher, the humble nurse, the unknown artist, carry extraordinary depth. Stories behind the symbols. Consider the man who always wears designer clothes but never listens. The woman with the perfect resume who belittles her team. The entrepreneur with the flashy pitch but no follow-through. These aren't rare exceptions. They're common consequences of a culture that rewards appearance over essence. One reader shared this story. I hired someone because they had the perfect LinkedIn profile, Ivy League, Fortune 500, polished. But within weeks, it was clear they lacked empathy, collaboration, and integrity. I ignored the red flags because the resume sparkled. Another confessed, I dated someone who seemed like a dream, successful, charming, well-connected. But behind closed doors, they were controlling and cruel. I fell for the packaging. These stories aren't just cautionary tales. They're reminders that substance lives beneath the surface, and you have to look for it. Rewiring your lens. To stop falling for status symbols, you need a new lens. One that sees through the glitter. One that asks better questions. 1. Ask, who are you without the props? Strip away the job title, the car, the clothes. What's left? Is the person kind? Curious? Honest? 2. Watch how they treat the invisible. Status seekers often ignore those who can't elevate them. Pay attention to how someone treats waitstaff, assistants, or strangers. That's where character shows up. 3. Listen for depth, not just delivery. A smooth talker isn't always a deep thinker. Look for people who speak with humility, nuance, and self-awareness, not just polish. Reclaiming your own substance. This chapter isn't just about how we judge others. It's about how we measure ourselves. Many of us chase status symbols to feel worthy. We think if we get the title, the car, the house, we'll finally be enough. But you are already enough. Your value isn't in your resume, it's in your resilience. It's in how you show up when no one's watching. It's in the quiet choices, the unseen kindness, the integrity that doesn't need applause. So stop falling for appearances. Start looking for substance. And start honoring your own. Chapter 5. Charm can be a mask. Charm is a double-edged sword. On one side, it's magnetic, the smile that lights up a room, the voice that makes you lean in, the confidence that feels contagious. On the other side, it can be a weapon, a mask that hides manipulation, a performance designed to disarm, distract, and deceive. We've all met someone who seemed irresistible at first. They knew exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. They made us feel seen, valued, even special. But later, the cracks appeared. Promises broken, boundaries crossed, truths twisted. What felt like charisma revealed itself as control. The difference between genuine charisma and manipulative charm. Charisma is rooted in authenticity. It flows from empathy, curiosity, and genuine connection. People with true charisma don't just make you feel good. They make you feel safe. They listen. They remember. They care. Manipulative charm, however, is calculated. It's a script. Every compliment, every gesture, every laugh is designed to achieve an outcome, influence, advantage, or power. It's less about connection and more about control. Think of the coworker who flatters the boss but undermines the team. The date who showers you with attention but ignores your boundaries. The politician who smiles warmly while hiding ruthless ambition. Charm without character is theater, and you're the audience. Warning signs of charm as a mask. How do you tell the difference? Look for the cracks in the performance. Inconsistency. They're delightful in public but dismissive in private. Selective kindness. They charm those who can benefit them, but ignore those who can't. Overpromising. They say exactly what you want to hear, but rarely deliver. Boundary testing. They push limits subtly, seeing how much they can get away with. Charm can feel intoxicating, but if it leaves you second-guessing yourself, it's not charisma, it's manipulation. Tools for detecting authenticity. To protect yourself, you need discernment. Here are 3 tools to sharpen your radar. 1. The consistency check. Watch how they behave across contexts. Do they treat everyone with respect, not just the people who matter to them? 2. The action audit. Compare words to actions. Do they follow through? Or do they leave a trail of broken promises? 3. The gut scan. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't dismiss it. Charm often works by overriding intuition. Reclaim your inner compass. Reclaiming your power. Charm isn't evil. It can be beautiful when it's authentic. But when it's a mask, it's dangerous. The key is not to reject charm altogether, but to look beneath it. To ask, is this person's warmth matched by integrity? Is their confidence matched by humility? Is their smile matched by substance? When you stop falling for appearances, you stop being dazzled by charm alone. You start seeing the person behind the performance. And you reclaim your power to choose wisely. Chapter 6. Emotional intelligence over ego. Appearances can impress. Ego can dominate. But emotional intelligence, empathy, listening, awareness, is what truly transforms relationships, leadership, and influence. It's the quiet power that outlasts the loud performance. We live in a culture that rewards ego. The boldest voice gets the spotlight. The most confident posture wins the deal. The person who looks the part is often elevated, even if they lack depth. But ego is fragile. It cracks under pressure. Emotional intelligence, on the other hand, endures. It builds bridges, heals wounds, and creates trust that appearances alone can never sustain. The anatomy of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is more than kindness. It's a skill set, the ability to recognize emotions in yourself and others, to regulate your reactions, and to respond with empathy. People with high EQ don't just look good in the moment. They create lasting impact. Self-awareness, knowing your triggers, strengths, and blind spots. Self-regulation, pausing before reacting, choosing responses over impulses. Empathy, feeling with others, not just for them. Social skills, building genuine connections, not transactional ones. These qualities don't show up in a mirror. They show up in moments of tension, in conversations that matter, in the way someone treats others when no one is watching. Ego versus EQ. Ego says, I'm right. EQ asks, what's true for you? Ego demands attention. EQ offers presence. Ego thrives on appearances. EQ thrives on authenticity. Think of leaders who command respect not because they look powerful, but because they listen deeply. Think of friends who make you feel safe not because they're charming, but because they're present. These are the people who leave lasting marks, not because of ego, but because of emotional intelligence. The long-term influence of EQ. Research shows that people with strong emotional intelligence often outperform those with high IQ or flashy charisma. They build stronger teams. They sustain healthier relationships. They navigate conflict with grace. Their influence lasts because it's rooted in connection, not performance. Ego might win the room. EQ wins the decade. Exercises to strengthen emotional intelligence. Here are 3 practices to cultivate EQ in daily life. 1. Pause before reacting. When emotions flare, take a breath. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want? 2. Empathy mapping. In conversations, imagine the other person's perspective. What are they feeling beneath the words? 3. Feedback rituals. Regularly ask trusted people, how did I come across? Listen without defensiveness. Adjust with humility. Reclaiming true influence. The world doesn't need more ego. It needs more empathy, more listening, more awareness. When you stop falling for appearances, you stop mistaking ego for strength. You start recognizing emotional intelligence as the real superpower. And here's the secret. Cultivating EQ isn't just about others. It's about you. It's about living with clarity, resilience, and connection. It's about building a life that feels authentic, not just impressive. So let ego fade. Let appearances fall. And let emotional intelligence rise as the measure of true substance. Chapter 7. The danger of groupthink. Appearances don't just fool individuals, they fool crowds. And when a crowd falls for appearances, the illusion multiplies. Groupthink is the silent thief of discernment. It makes bad ideas look credible, shallow leaders seem wise, and dangerous paths feel safe simply because everyone else is doing it. We've all felt the pull. The room leans one way, and suddenly, so do we. The applause grows, and suddenly, we clap too. The post goes viral, and suddenly, we share it without questioning. Groupthink thrives on appearances because it disguises conformity as truth. The seduction of conformity. Humans are wired for belonging. We want to be accepted, included, part of the tribe. But that desire can override our judgment. When the group seems united, we silence our doubts. When the majority looks confident, we assume they must be right. History is full of examples. Financial bubbles fueled by hype, political movements driven by spectacle, social trends that seemed brilliant until they collapsed. The crowd's appearance of certainty seduced individuals into abandoning their own discernment. The illusion of credibility. Groupthink makes appearances more persuasive. If one person looks confident, we might question them. But if 10 people look confident, we assume credibility. The illusion of consensus becomes a substitute for truth. Think of the meeting where everyone nods along to a flawed idea, or the classroom where no one raises a hand to challenge the teacher, or the online thread where dissenting voices are drowned out by likes and retweets. In each case, appearances, the look of agreement, silence deeper thinking. The cost of groupthink. The danger isn't just bad decisions. It's lost individuality. Groupthink erases nuance, silences creativity, and punishes courage. It makes us complicit in illusions we don't believe, simply because we don't want to stand out. And the cost can be enormous. Businesses collapse, relationships fracture, societies drift. All because people fell for the appearance of consensus instead of asking hard questions. Strategies for independent thinking. To resist groupthink, you need tools that anchor you in truth even when appearances shout otherwise. 1. The pause principle. When everyone agrees to quickly pause. Ask what's missing, what's unspoken. 2. The devil's advocate drill. Practice arguing the opposite side, even if you don't believe it. This sharpens discernment and reveals blind spots. 3. The courage of one voice. Remember that one dissenting voice can change the room. Speak up, even if it feels uncomfortable. Reclaiming your discernment. Groupthink thrives on appearances. It makes illusions look solid, masks look credible, and silence look wise. But discernment thrives on courage. It asks you to see beyond the crowd, to question the consensus, to trust your own intuition even when it's unpopular. When you stop falling for appearances, you stop mistaking conformity for truth. You start reclaiming your independence. And you discover that real strength isn't in following the crowd. It's in standing firm when the crowd is wrong. Chapter 8. Actions speak louder than looks. Appearances whisper. Actions shout. You can dress the part, smile the part, even talk the part, but if your actions don't match, the illusion collapses. The world is full of people who look trustworthy, sound convincing, and promise the moon. Yet when you track their behavior, the truth emerges. We've all been dazzled by appearances. The polished resume, the charming introduction, the confident handshake. But none of these prove character. What proves character is consistency, the daily choices, the small behaviors, the patterns that reveal who someone really is. The power of consistency. Actions are habits in motion. They reveal values more clearly than words ever can. A person who claims to be generous but never shows up when help is needed isn't generous. They're a performer. A leader who talks about integrity but cuts corners when no one's watching isn't ethical. They're an actor. Consistency is the ultimate truth teller. It's not about one grand gesture. It's about the repeated, ordinary actions that build trust over time. Promises versus patterns. Appearances thrive on promises. I'll be there. I'll change. I'll deliver. But promises are easy. Patterns are hard. If you want to know who someone is, don't listen to their promises. Watch their patterns. Do they follow through? Do they show up when it matters? Do they act with respect even when no one's watching? Patterns reveal substance. Promises reveal appearances. Exercises for tracking actions. To sharpen your discernment, try these practical exercises. 1. Behavior journal. For 1 week, track the actions of someone you interact with regularly. Note what they say versus what they do. Look for alignment or misalignment. 2. Action audit. When someone makes a promise, write it down. Later, check if they followed through. Over time, you'll see whether their words match their behavior. 3. Silent observation. In group settings, Watch who consistently contributes, supports, or respects others, not just who talks the most. These exercises train your eye to see beyond appearances and focus on the truth of behavior. Stories of actions revealing truth. Think of the colleague who always talks about teamwork but never helps when deadlines loom. Or the friend who promises to call but disappears when you need them most. Their appearances may be polished, but their actions tell the real story. On the flip side, consider the quiet person who doesn't boast but consistently shows up, supports others, and delivers. They may not look impressive at first glance, but their actions build trust that appearances can't compete with. Reclaiming your own integrity. This chapter isn't just about judging others. It's about holding ourselves accountable. Do our actions align with our values? Do we follow through on our promises? Do we live consistently, even when no one is watching? Appearances fade. Actions endure. When you stop falling for appearances, you stop being fooled by words and looks. You start measuring truth by behavior. And you begin to build a life and relationships rooted in substance, not surface. Chapter 9. Red flags are often subtle. Not all danger announces itself with flashing lights. Some of the most costly mistakes begin with whispers, small cues, subtle signals, faint inconsistencies that we overlook because they don't look like trouble. Red flags rarely wave in neon. More often, they hide in the shadows of charm, success, and appearances. We miss them because we want to believe the illusion. We want the relationship to work, the deal to succeed, the friendship to feel safe. So we rationalize. We excuse. We tell ourselves, it's nothing. But those nothings add up. And when ignored, they become heartbreak, betrayal, or collapse. The psychology of ignoring red flags. Why do we miss subtle warning signs? Because appearances soothe us. A smile makes us doubt our discomfort. A confident tone makes us question our intuition. We're wired to seek harmony, not conflict. Spotting a red flag means admitting something is wrong, and that's uncomfortable. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. When reality clashes with appearances, we often choose the appearance. It feels easier, but easier isn't safer. Subtle verbal cues. Red flags often slip into language. Listen closely. Deflection. They avoid direct answers, changing the subject when pressed. Exaggeration. They overpromise, painting a picture too good to be true. Minimization. They downplay mistakes or dismiss concerns as no big deal. These aren't always obvious lies. They're distortions, small cracks in the facade that reveal deeper issues. Subtle nonverbal cues. Actions whisper too. Watch for inconsistent eye contact, not shyness, but avoidance when truth is questioned. Microexpressions, brief flashes of irritation or contempt before the smile returns. Body language disconnect. Words say one thing, posture says another. These cues are fleeting, easy to miss, but they're signals that appearances don't match reality. The cost of ignoring red flags. When we ignore subtle signs, we pay later. The friend who constantly cancels eventually disappears. The business partner who dodges details eventually betrays. The romantic partner who dismisses boundaries eventually breaks trust. Every ignored red flag is a seed. And seeds grow. Exercises for spotting red flags. To sharpen your discernment, practice these exercises. 1. Pattern recognition. Write down small inconsistencies you notice. Over time, patterns emerge. 2. Gut check journal. When something feels off, record it. Later, compare your intuition to outcomes. 3. Pause and replay. After conversations, mentally replay them. Did words and actions align? Did anything feel rehearsed or evasive? These practices train you to catch what appearances try to hide. Reclaiming your intuition. Red flags aren't always dramatic. They're often subtle, quiet, and easy to dismiss. But your intuition notices them. The key is to listen, to trust the unease, to honor the small signals before they become big consequences. When you stop falling for appearances, you stop ignoring red flags. You start seeing the truth beneath the mask. And you protect yourself from illusions that cost more than they're worth. Chapter 10. Cultivating True Discernment. Appearances are loud. Truth is quiet. The challenge of modern life is learning to hear the quiet voice beneath the noise, the subtle signals beneath the masks, the deeper reality beneath the surface. Discernment is the art of seeing clearly when appearances try to deceive, And it's not a gift reserved for a few. It's a skill anyone can cultivate. Discernment is more than skepticism. It's not about distrusting everyone or doubting everything. It's about balance, the ability to pause, reflect, and evaluate with wisdom instead of impulse. It's about resisting the pull of illusions and choosing to see substance over surface, building intuition and critical thinking. True discernment blends two forces, intuition and critical thinking. Intuition is the gut feeling, the subtle awareness that something is off or right. Critical thinking is the structured analysis, the ability to weigh evidence, question assumptions, and test appearances against reality. Together, they form a powerful lens. Intuition alerts you. Critical thinking confirms you. Discernment emerges when you honor both. Daily habits for discernment. Like any skill, discernment grows through practice. Here are 3 daily habits to sharpen your clarity. 1. Pause before judging. When you meet someone new or encounter a situation, resist the urge to decide instantly. Give yourself space to observe. 2. Ask better questions. Instead of do they look successful, ask do they act with integrity? Instead of do they seem confident, ask do they listen? 3. Reflect each day. At the end of the day, review your interactions. Where did appearances mislead you? Where did actions reveal truth? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Avoiding projection. Discernment also requires self-awareness. Often, we project our own biases onto others. We see what we want to see or what we fear to see. Cultivating discernment means recognizing these projections and separating them from reality. Ask yourself, am I judging this person based on them or based on me? This question alone can dismantle illusions. The freedom of seeing clearly. When you stop falling for appearances, you gain freedom. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from illusions that drain your energy and distort your choices. Discernment doesn't just protect you, it empowers you. It helps you choose relationships that nourish, leaders who inspire, opportunities that align with your values. It helps you build a life rooted in truth, not surface. The journey forward. This book began with illusions. First impressions, social media mirages, beauty biases, status symbols, charm masks. Each chapter peeled back a layer of deception. Now, at the end, the message is simple. Appearances fade, but truth endures. Cultivating discernment is a lifelong journey. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, choosing, day by day, to see more clearly, to trust more wisely, to live more authentically. And here's the final truth. When you stop falling for appearances, you don't just see others more clearly. You see yourself more clearly. You discover your own strength, your own integrity, your own worth, beyond the masks, beyond the illusions, beyond the noise. That is the power of discernment. That is the freedom of truth.